Let's move on to the co-main event. There's plenty to talk about, of course, but Jay, being Jay, I have to move along. In the co-main event, Alexander Volkanovski, your new UFC featherweight champion of the world, defeating Max Holloway without a ton of controversy, Brian Campbell. Now, it's so funny. I went back and I checked on the Morning Kombat last week, and we did this conversation where we said, who was the livest dog on there? Brian Campbell, do you recall who I said was the livest dog of the three title fights?
I said GDR, who was pretty damn live herself.
Oh, you got very close. You got very close as well. But in the end, which we'll talk about in just a second, but of course, Volkanovski is your new champion. There's a big question about how surprised should we be by this, and I don't think we should be. Now, I'll also do a mea culpa. I thought in the end, Max kind of might find a way to get it done, and he did make some adjustments.
He made some championship adjustments.
He did. In the fourth and fifth round. That's what today's Dissected episode is about.
By the way, I sat in on Professor Salt and Pepper here. It's good stuff. You do want to check it out.
Now, with that in mind, I don't think we should be surprised for two reasons. One, if you watch the Mendes fight, while Volkanovski did get tagged, he showed all kinds of incredible metal coming back and some of the same setups and camouflage and misdirection he'd been working on. And then if you watch that Aldo fight, there was no fanfare for that because I think it was the co-main event. It was in Brazil. Jose Aldo never got dropped. Jose Aldo never got his back taken. Jose Aldo wasn't even really bleeding. He just got systematically dissected. He just got beaten. Then you look at this fight, and it was many of the same tricks he brought from Aldo. But here's what I noticed. These guys at City Kickboxing are doing something special, and one of the many things that they're doing, among all the feinting we've talked about ad nauseum, is, dude, they audit you.
Oh, hell yeah,
they audit you. They look at your game in grand detail, and someone like Max Holloway's got a lot of tape. Right? Look at all the records for longest fight this and many strikes that. Well, that means there's a lot of tape to look at, dude. They look at all of it and they pick it apart piece by piece and they develop a ridiculously good game plan for it. That guy, Alexander Volkanovski, he's going to fight Max Holloway again. But my prediction is, until he does, Brian Campbell, he ain't losing.
No, I gotta take it honest with you. Look, sometimes
What do you usually do?
I haven't rolled on the mats for years. I didn't fight in the Marine Corps like you, so I can be a filthy casual in terms of hearing Jimmy and seeing it. I didn't necessarily see how great Alexander Volkanovski was each step. And do you know what illuminated me? Not necessarily watching your ass against the screen, although it was good.
Glad to know. I didn't have no help.
Media day this week in Vegas, all right? I get the one-on-one with Volkanovski. Look, I've been duped before by many a woman, right? Never trust a big butt and a smile. I've also been duped by many a fighter who's basically like, I got it.
I love a big butt and a smile.
I got it. I'm going to win. I've been duped by that before because of the confidence. I heard a different kind of confidence come out of Alexander Volkanovski in the one-on-one, in which he basically was like, look, no disrespect to my opponents, but a lot of my opponents are casuals when it comes to the full understanding of what's going on inside the cage. He goes, not everybody is like myself and Max. I like that he gave respect to Max. He went on to break down, I'm going to win this fight because I'm smarter, because my IQ's bigger, because I broke down every single part of Max in the buildup, and I'm going to take his strengths and use it against him, just like I did to Jose Aldo. And I started to have a conversation with Alex. I go, look, that Aldo fight, you made it look so easy that we were questioning whether Aldo just didn't try down the stretch. He was just not pulling the trigger. And he went on to give me a breakdown of how he was able to take Aldo's technique and use it against him. And I came out of that interview like texting people, not running up to the betting window, although I thought about it, but texting people going like, this guy's even liver than we realized, and we're already sort of saying, look, this guy's got a good chance here. I believed in his confidence so much, but I wanted to see it play out. And what I saw on Saturday night was him doing exactly what he told me he was going to do. And it's mind-blowing stuff for somebody who's maybe not as on the inside as you are in terms of breaking it down, to be able to visually see what he was able to do, taking away Max's jab the whole time. Think about it. Max Holloway is a guy who's such a technical brawler, right? He uses technique and timing and distance and all that stuff, but he does it to get close to you and take care of you.
That's right.
And so many people try to beat him at his greatest strength, right? Because they can't take him down, so they're like, I gotta outpace him or I gotta outslug him, and it doesn't happen. This is a guy who did it the inverted way, who came from behind the computer and started pulling wires. I mean, this was like that one shot that would take the damn Death Star down, and he was able to deliver that over 5 rounds in brilliant fashion, making adjustments, everything that you said and dissected that people should talk about, the defensive responsibility, all that stuff. I came away going, Luke is right when Luke says the people down there in Australia, the people down there in New Zealand are doing something different. It's next level.
Here's the other part about it, too. It's like, do you remember what, and again, I'm not picking on you because I think what you had said was representative at the time. A lot of people felt that way, including former UFC champion Chris Weidman. When Adesanya beat Silva, they were like, well, was that all that impressive? And I'm like, if what you're looking at is for big uppercuts that send their head, and Ngannou versus Overeem style, well, then yes, it is a bit of a letdown. But when you really begin to look at what they're doing, it's almost like they lull you into a false sense of security because it looks, to a degree, maybe boring, kind of weird motions. You don't quite understand what the level of what the purpose is. But then when you begin to realize what the purpose is, it is to have a striking game completely encased in surprise, misdirection, and confusion. That might make it a little bit harder to land that big punch that puts somebody out, but it makes it very difficult for an opponent to defeat. And that's exactly what you got.
I mean, his constant ownership of distance was humbling to watch in the front row up close and really see that. How every time Max was about to set up and do what he does best, Volkanovski's just flipping the script.
Right, so when Max made those adjustments a little bit later, crowding him a little bit, going to the body was the big change.
Southpaw stance was a big switch.
Southpaw stance, even though the commentators kind of downplayed it a little bit, that was big. So to me, it's like, I don't think Max is that far away from being able to, one, get back there, and two, giving Volkanovski a run for his money. To the point where you raised about this, it's like, this is what I love about MMA. It's not merely that you have ascendant fighters like Whitaker and Hooker and Adesanya and Volkanovski and all these guys from the Oceania region. It's that in the case of City Kickboxing, dude, do you remember what Ronda Rousey did for the women's game, where she came in there and she was just thrashing people?
Where Ronda Rousey's fine ass at, right?
Why do you got to be so weird? She was showing that there's a level of physicality that's missing. She showed, not that everyone got good at judo, but she just raised everyone's level of understanding, again, certain defensive concepts, how to train properly, what it means to be an athlete, and there were other women who contributed as well. Dude, I really believe eventually the rest of the game is going to catch up to what these guys are doing at City Kickboxing, but right now what they're doing is pacing everybody, and two, they're going to show the rest of the world that you have things you need to improve on, including but not limited to their world of feints. And once everyone does, MMA striking is going to get even better.
It's just crazy. From the most basic way of looking at that fight, you never would have guessed that someone's going to walk in there and knock Max Holloway out. You never would have guessed that someone's going to go in there and take him down and grind him out. And you never would have guessed that someone's going to out-cardio him and out-volume him. Yet again, Volkanovski flipped the paradigm flipped upside down and just kind of did it from reverse, little reach around action there. It was very.
You're getting weirder with every minute of the show, Pass. Can you keep the slapstick in check until we get to the slapstick hour? Last thing about this: who's the toughest challenge for him? Not named Max Holloway. I've been racking my brain about this. I actually don't. I can't.
Let's talk about that top five at featherweight. Who are we looking at right now?
So there's Holloway up there. I could pull up the list here if you want. But is there any name that kind of stands out?
I mean,
to
you got Korean Zombie going in there against.
I don't think he's. There's
Ortega
Yair.
would be very interesting.
Ortega against Volkanovski? Oh, Ortega, I think, would have his day. So one is Volkanovski.
Wait, what are you saying? Volkanovski would chew up Ortega?
Yeah. Not on the ground, but I don't think he would ever go to the ground, so it doesn't matter. 3 is Aldo, already beat him. 4 is Zabit. And then 5 is Edgar.
Ooh, Zabit.
Zabit's an interesting one.
Because of the length.
He just beat Cater, but he was kind of fading in that third round.
And Zabit is unorthodox, untraditional in his.
Yeah, he's tricky too. The thing is, though, the cardio might pay a difference there.
Don't count out Ortega, though. His will is mighty, all right?
And by the way,
there are people, who, including this guy who sits in this chair, who will tell you that Ortega was coming on against Max when his face fell apart, all right?
It sounds like a very convincing argument.